Hey, what's up, everybody? Chris here, and I want to bring you my review of season one of Andor. A lot of people have been sort of chitter chattering about this show as it being sort of the best live action Star Wars offering that we've gotten since the original trilogy. And I want to talk about whether or not that's sort of my assessment. And I'd love to hear what you think about it. Of course, drop your comments down below and we'll discuss that. And let's just jump right into it. Hey, as always, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Please be sure to subscribe. This is actually my 200th video, believe it or not. Kind of crazy. This channel's been active for a number of years, but I'm so grateful to everybody that stuck with me and watches the content regularly. If you're new here, I appreciate your viewership. Again, if you subscribe, it really helps out a lot. But as always, thanks for watching. So I really like this show a lot. I think Andor is sort of the thing that Star Wars has been missing for a long time. And actually, I think this is why Rogue One resonated with so many people. This is showing us sort of the gritty underside of Star Wars that, it's sort of glimpsed in the original trilogy, especially, right? And you actually get that in some of the prequel, or actually the sequel trilogy, right? Rise of Skywalker, all of that, a little bit. But in the original trilogy, you get sort of that sense that the state of the galaxy, right, is run down. People are just struggling to survive. What started out in a lot of people's minds as sort of an effort to, unify the galactic government and to protect people has clearly become a tyrannical force, and everybody's sort of fighting against it. But you really get a lot of depth with that with Andor, and that's what I love most about this show. I think, too, this show does a really good job of showing you a side of Star Wars culture, that the culture of that universe that we haven't really seen before. You see on Ferrix, all the different things that people are going through. You start to see how people, have realized what the Empire really is, and they're starting to push back against it. And so people are organizing, right? They're starting to sort of understand the situation that the galaxy has really gotten itself into and how they want to fight back against that. But what I like most about this show is it's not just about Andor. And while he's an interesting character, a great character, I think the supporting cast, really makes this an ensemble piece that is above and beyond a lot of what we have gotten with Star Wars. Now, personally, The Mandalorian is still my favorite Star Wars show. I think that's just because I kind of prefer Star Wars when it's got a little bit more of sort of that fun element embedded in it, which is not to say that there's not a place for something like Andor. It is absolutely fantastic. It's a beautiful show, right? Even though a lot of it is kind of dull, which is meant to sort of represent the state of things, there is some color here and there that kind of pops. And it's really actually a beautifully shot show, beautifully filmed. Even though there are minimal things like space battles, that kind of stuff, those were executed super well also. Again, though, for me, I still think Mandalorian is kind of the high watermark of what we've gotten post-original trilogy with Star Wars. But that's not to say that there's not a place for Andor again, just to sort of reiterate that. I think it is a fantastic show. I do think it's flown under the radar for a lot of people because it doesn't have a lot of what you would think about with Star Wars when it comes to Jedi, sort of the mystical side of the Force and all of that. This is just about normal people who are trying to survive and, right a lot of wrongs that they're seeing going on around them. I think the cast in this show is absolutely fantastic. Every actor, really sort of goes headlong into their roles and makes them super believable. My favorite episode out of everything that we've gotten with this show is the prison break. I think that's not going to necessarily be universally true, but I think the writing in this show makes it stand out in a lot of ways from what we've had with Star Wars. I mean, it is really top-notch, top-tier stuff, and if it's not nominated for some Emmys, I'm going to be pretty surprised about that. One of the things that I loved about the finale, too, was the whole funeral sequence. I think, again, that gives us sort of a side of Star Wars culture, and I guess that could just be Ferrix culture because of that planet. But it was just a beautifully shot moment. And again, the speech we get as that sort of unfolds is pretty much on par with that Prison Break episode and the two big speeches we have in there. I'm trying to be purposely kind of non-spoilery for people who haven't had the time to go through the show yet. But if you're a Star Wars fan, if you have any interest in this show whatsoever, it's absolutely worth your time. But again, to get back to that question, is it the best live action Star Wars we've gotten since the original trilogy? I think it's up there, and again, I'm not really a big numbers guy. I don't really love assigning ratings to things as much as I might have done in the past, but I would say it's sort of a 9 out of 10 if I had to do that, right? Again, I do think Mandalorian, personally, for me, is something that I enjoy just a little bit more, but this is fantastic. I'm glad they're continuing it. It sounds like the second season is going to begin filming soon. And in a lot of ways, this is what I think Star Wars needs more of, right? I like that they're stepping away from the Skywalker stuff and not really hinging everything on that. I want more of that kind of stuff with the Star Wars universe. I want more shows and more movies that have nothing to do with the Skywalkers. They could be set, 1,000 years in the past, 1,000 years in the future, after the First Order, all that kind of stuff, whatever. But I think we've all had our fill of the Skywalker saga, which was great. That's what initially made Star Wars what it is. But I love this kind of thing. I love the grittiness of it. I love the realism of the characters and the feeling that there are stakes. There are things at stake here. And the idea that the Empire is finally legitimately scary. Not that it wasn't a threatening force in the past, but here, they really stand out. The Empire really stands out as something that you're legit scared of based on some of the stuff in these episodes. So anyway, Andor is a fantastic show. I loved it. I want more of it. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. We're kind of, as Star Wars fans, in my opinion, sort of in a golden era. When I was a kid, we had the original trilogy, and that was it. I never thought we would actually have Star Wars shows, and lots of them, and it's kind of amazing. So I can't wait to see what happens next in the world of Star Wars. But as always, thanks for watching, and let me know what you think about this one.